Welcome back to episode 3 of this podcast that I've now named Sit Down and Talk. Name came from the first podcast I did with Nathan, so I'm running with it. Got 3 guests on this podcast today, so it's half of Perceptions. So we've got Jamie, Ryan and Dan. They're in a melodic metalcore band from Newcastle. Therefore fans of Beartooth, While She Sleeps, Amity Affliction. Do you want to say hello, boys?
Hello. Hi.
How's it all going?
Pretty good. I'm just sipping some black tea at the moment. I'm just chilling, mate. I'm proper chilling. I just finished a shift. Speaking to customers 8 hours a day. It's fun.
I'm not too shabby. Just fucking excited to get back to work once lockdown's over. Really.
Yeah. I think everyone who's not working at the moment is at that point now where they're excited to get back to work because they've had the fun of not working for so long that they're just so bored now.
Yeah, see, for me, it's weird, right? Because I started enjoying working from home more, but now I hate it because it's like, I'm working, but I've also got my PS4 on since everything's in my living room. And it's like, I don't want to be distracted by the PS4. I'd rather be in work because at least I'm in that mentality of just sitting down and getting my head down. But I almost feel like these calls are coming through and I'm like, right, this is distracting us from being in me flat. Even though I should be focusing on the work, but it's I don't know. It's a weird one.
It's the routine of it, isn't it?
I also really
routine of being at work.
Yeah, I also really don't like some people that I work with, so I'm glad to be at home. But it's I don't know. They both have pros and cons. But
outweighs it.
It's hellish, man. With me tattooing as well. We're one of the last businesses to go back. So I don't think I'm genuinely gonna get back to work until the end of July, August time.
It is crazy, man. Being in that sort of industry, that's probably, it is one of the last sort of places to reopen. So yeah, how are you finding? Obviously, you would have been sort of probably out of work. You would have been out of the work earliest, and then sort of going back to work the latest. So how is it sort of treating you at the moment?
Honestly, mate, it's given us plenty of time to sit down and draw, which is nice because I don't really get a lot of time to sit down and properly draw stuff that I want to draw. But just in terms of working, I miss being in the shop environment, you know. It's a tough one, but it's obviously got to be done, you know. Safety comes first, so that's it really.
Well, exactly, mate. Exactly. So as I mentioned, obviously this is Perceptions. They released a 6-track EP called False Prophet last year, I believe it was. You can get that on all sort of major streaming platforms. With that being said, obviously that came out last year. I want to sort of find out a bit about the writing process and the release of it and sort of how you guys did it. Yeah,
man. It was an interesting process to say the least. Obviously we went through a lot of changes since we released it and stuff. Originally we did a lot of recording with Michael Charlton from October Ends. But then we kind of took it into our own little studio because our old vocalist Jake had his own recording bit. And just it was nice to sit down and make it sort of sound the way we want to sound. But yeah, in terms of the recording process, it was all done at home. It wasn't in studios or anything like that. It was just sat in a shed recording.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, obviously, with it being sort of, not in the actual sort of studio environment, how do you think it's do you think it's had a change on the way that the music sounded because it's directly just used influence in it?
Ryan, do you want to have a little take on that, mate? You know what you wanted from the EP and stuff, and you faced a lot of sort of diversity when it came to writing it and stuff.
Yeah, we all had that idea of where we want each track to go. Obviously we've got the bare bones of it recorded with Charlton, and then we took into Jake's place, so Jake would be right, this is a bit more of a confined area where we can work on it. And I think it was of all tracks, each one of us had our own take on it and were able to kind of bounce off each other and get them done. If anything, it was more messages back and forth. And then we would be meeting each other when we came to the practice rooms and stuff like that. It was I think, primarily for myself, I had False Prophet has been one of the tracks where we had like a session to work on, and I was like back and forward with like either the rest of the lads or with Jake for like how I wanted to sound.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Like, I don't know. Jamie, what songs were you mostly like kind of like had the most input on, like when we're trying to be back and forth? Because I know it was quite weird. Like,
yeah, it was a really weird process. Like the main songs that I sort of influenced on was Arrow and The Burden. Arrow was like really sort of heavily my lyrics, and then Jake sort of tweaked them to make them a little bit more melodic in sections. The Burden was like just written about just sheer heartbreak and stuff, and it's crazy because I wrote like it was written before obviously the EP was out, and shortly after the EP release gig, I sort of clicked that it was one of my favorite songs, because it just kind of it resonated with me grandad passing and stuff, and the last time he ever got a sales play was the EP release, so it was just nice to relate the songs to that, but. I think with it not being in the studio, there was a lot of things that I would change massively.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, like obviously, I think every band always has that sort of. I wouldn't exactly call it a DIY recording because it's not obviously DIY itself. You're still obviously recording it properly, but I think every band has that sort of first release where they primarily just work on it themselves and put it out. Essentially, not every band goes to the studio straight away these days. I think it's still good that bands can do that. I know a lot of sort of studios have a bit too much influence over bands' music where it doesn't necessarily reflect the band the way that they want it to show, in a sense. So it's good to see that bands are still sort of doing it themselves.
Yeah, man, 100%. I couldn't agree more. I don't regret releasing it whatsoever. I think every track we released, like, I'm super proud of. But like looking back on it now to what we're about to release, like it's just a whole nother fucking level, man. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I want to talk a little bit more about the obviously the new additions to the band and the stuff that you've got sort of coming up soon. But you mentioned obviously the EP release show that was at the O2, wasn't it?
Yeah, man.
How was that?
O2.
It was good. I always criticize myself as like a drummer and things like that, and between like the five of us there was probably one of our best shows. Like we've got like a little list of like the shows where we're like, right, that was a good show when we think back at them. Speaking about that anyway, I know like Dan got up for one of the songs as well. Like foreshadowing what was going to happen.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like a hobbing. I want to like kind of like a that's not the right word. Hold on. Yeah, it was like foreshadowing, basically like an omen. Like, yep.
Yeah, the EP release is probably hands down one of the best shows we've ever played. And in terms of pull as well, it was just class to get like the compliments off the O2, saying that it's like one of the highest local shows they've had in terms of putting on. Like, I think in the end the numbers were like 187 through the door, which was just insane.
It was sick, to be fair.
But, like, in all honesty, like it wasn't just us, like massive shout out to the other bands as well. Like Ronin Clan, they pulled like hell. Burden on their first ever gig, put on an amazing show, and Collapse of Colour as well, standing in for like really last minute, put on like a class set. So all in all, it was a good show because every band sort of put their heart and soul into it,
Yeah, what I thought was amazing about that was like a lot of bands do tend to fear headlining because in the past I'm not sure how much of it still happened in recent times, but you do get them gigs where like people tend to leave before the headliner. But like with Views, like obviously I wasn't in the band at the time, so I'll say like with Views, like it genuinely wasn't like that at all. Like the crowd was still class by the time you were on, and it was really, really good. Like, and it was just like I'm not surprised that the O2 said that. Like it was a really good show.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I definitely know what you mean about the fear of sort of headlining shows, especially sort of the more sort of local ones, or even if it's a case where you're going into a brand new city and you're headlining there where no one really knows you, you always have that fear of people leaving before your set, like the local bandmates and all that kind of stuff. It's definitely still a thing, and it's awful, especially for bands that are traveling like that far to like different cities to headline shows there, and like people can't really even stick around to actually see them play. It's always a bit of a kick in the teeth. But yeah, I mean, I remember when we played that show at Little Buildings with you guys. It was like that summer show where we had all like the inflatables and stuff, and literally like I remember just watching you guys and being like, my fucking god, these are fucking sick. Like I think I'd already seen you like, I think like once or twice beforehand, but I think that show I was like, fuck me, like they have massively improved in like literally the shortest time. And obviously Little Buildings being as fucking sweaty as it is, Little Buildings being Little Buildings, I'm surprised you didn't actually fucking like die of exhaustion. Is that the word? Like literally, because it's so sweaty in that little room, man.
Aye, man.
You're not even wrong. Like, I mean, from experience, like obviously, like you remember when I was in the Scout and Up, like our last ever gig there was it was a good gig, but it was, oh Jesus Christ, like. Oh no! Like it's because it was proper pissing it down with rain outside, right? It was in the middle of July, but like, and then you go in, you're not even in the actual room, you're just in the little corridor bit, and it's already roasting. Then you get in, and you feel like you're gonna fucking pass out. Like,
it's a proper sweatbox, like.
Oh, it's mad.
That show we played with you guys was probably one of the best local shows like we've played. It was insane.
Yeah, it was so good.
But the day shift of the show, like that was crazy. Like the inflatables, I remember he's released a little live clip, and there's a little video of me in the pit just like swinging inflatable palm trees at my mate, and it was just like mortal drunk, having an absolutely frisk of a time. It was a good local hands, like.
It was like an inflatable beach ball or something. Like we played our set, and literally was like second song or something. And this like beach ball just comes flying out of nowhere, and it hits literally right in the middle of us. And I'm like, "What the fuck?"
I'll apologise for that.
I didn't one of the inflatables hit the light or something, because I wanted to have inflatables for the Scarab Dubs last show, and then Alan was like, "Nah, we're not allowing them anymore," because the last time we had inflatables, it didn't go well. Like. That was good, me. I probably
possibly may have been that show. I'm not sure, but I remember that show. Like it was so hot outside as well. I literally remember it because it was really sunny. It was proper warm, and then having to go inside and play in that little sweat box of a room was it was something like. But yeah, I mean, like I say, I mean, just local shows in general, like them, like they're the reason why like. People need to go to more local shows so we can get more gigs like that. Like, you know, I think it's always been a discussion with like many people over the years, like about local shows and people not really going to many. But I mean, Daniel, probably you remember, like what 7 or 8 years ago, where there was like a show at the Free Tons every week.
Oh mate,
just same bands over and over again.
I remember when you and Nathan and that went Beyond the Ocean, and we used to play the Black Bull and the Black Bull and Gateshead, wasn't it? Yeah. Mate, them gigs, man. Like they were the kind of gigs where, like, if you're wearing skinnies, you will not be able to take your pants off when you go home because they're stuck to your legs because of the sweat. Like,
Ross's leather pants from Friends. It's like Ross's leather pants from Friends, that.
Oh man, it was so bad, and me vans were proper honking afterwards. But it was like one of them things where it's like, you know, it was a good night kind of thing. Like, oh, but yeah, the 3 Tons. I love playing at the 3 Tons and all. Like,
been there.
It's so they don't do heavy gigs anymore, do they?
No.
I think it was because there's like some old lady that got like hit by somebody in the pit, like when she was trying to go something like that. Like,
doesn't surprise us. I mean, I'm surprised the gigs went on as long as they did, considering how they were sometimes. It's just one of those things, isn't it, man? So I mean, moving on. I mean, obviously, I suppose we'll sort of move on to current times. So, I think it was probably just before lockdown happened, maybe about 2 or 3 months ago. You sort of introduced that you were having 2 new members into the band, Dan and Seymour.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
There was that, and like obviously a few things going on at the time, because we were like, I think it was like the start of our like planning process for like, right, this is what we need to do for like the rest of the year. Obviously the new members being the first.
Yeah, it was mad. Like obviously with Jake left and stuff, it was completely off his own back. Like he just kind of wanted to move on to something where he can sort of front man it, and play something a bit more genre specific to him. So we had like no sort of problem with that whatsoever. You know, we knew exactly who we were going to ask. We played a show with Trillions with Dan, where he started when Jake was on holiday, you know, and it like the connection was there the minute we played, you know, like me and Dan gelled really easily. And from then it was just like, yeah, fuck it, like we know exactly who we're going to, we know exactly where this lineup's going, and we were comfortable with it from the get-go, really.
It was an amazing show.
It was.
I think what you said, like Jamie, it's definitely an importance for like for any sort of band, because I mean, when you're in a band, you're not just like in the band. You spend a lot of time together. You obviously do stuff outside of the band and things like that. So yeah, definitely having that sort of connection there is always going to be something that helps the band specifically. So I mean, how do you think it'll work for you guys now, having sort of 6 members in the band? How is that writing process now going to be like?
As far as I'm concerned, like I say it like is a much better thing, because we all have very varied taste in music. We don't all listen to the same stuff, you know. In terms of writing, it just makes everything sound a hell of a lot more unique. You know, like when you track that we've got coming out, Fairweather, it's a blend of so many different genres and so many different ideas, and it makes me like really confident to want to play live again, because we're just releasing stuff that's a hell of a lot more fuller, a lot more powerful, and you've got 3-4 people in the band that write absolutely amazing lyrics that can sit down and work together and just write an absolutely banging song. You know, like Ryan being the drummer, in my opinion, in the band, he's one of the best lyric writers, like hands down. You know, he wrote False Prophet, he wrote majority of Fairweather as well.
I thought that was pretty cool. Like when I first got sent those lyrics, I was like, "Whoa!" Because obviously being new to the band, I wasn't previously aware of how the songwriting process went. I was like, "Oh damn, okay, Ryan, go on." I really like.
I love that. I love that, man. So I mean, Dan, obviously with you coming into the band, how like you've been in bands in the past, you sort of had a bit of a gap where you weren't in a band, or you were still doing stuff musically, but you weren't sort of in an actual band.
Yeah, it was really just chill. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so how is it for you now being back in a band again?
Yeah, it feels really good. I mean, for a while when I had that break of not doing anything musically, I had this idea in my mind of doing something like solo wise. Like I kind of just wanted to like, which I still have every intention of doing like on the side at some point. But like as like a sort of like a solo project where I just do a lot of different things, like start a YouTube channel, that kind of thing. But I don't know, there was some personal things I was going through that kind of drained the motivation to get that done. I guess that like joining Perceptions has kind of been, in a way, like a kick up the arse. It's kind of been like, not only is like right now I've got to get shit done, I've got to do stuff, which I have been, which I've been proud of, but like I've lost my trail of thought. It feels good to like, because you know you've got that pressure. If you're gonna do something solo, it's all on you. You know what I mean? But it's like when you're working together with people, like as you'll know, being in a band, it's a totally different thing. Like if you do like a solo acoustic thing or whatever. And yeah, like not just in terms of how it all bounces different ideas off each other and that, but like just like it's like a sense of like brotherhood, I guess you could say. Like it's just awesome in that sense, and it's done wonders for me. Just as soon as Jamie messaged us and he was like, yeah, I want to join Perceptions, I was like, right, go on, yes.
That's me. Yeah,
I was happy. Like
I think that's the thing as well. Like if you're gonna do like a sort of like a solo project, in a sense of it's just you, like you don't really have the same motivation as if you're with other people. Like you could just be like, oh, I need to do this, I'll just do that a bit later. But if you're in a band and something needs to be done, like you'll have another 4 or 5 lads like literally saying, I need this now, this needs to be done, which gives you that kick up the arse, like you said. Definitely. So I mean, obviously you're gonna, with you sort of joining the band, I know Jamie does sort of like the unclean vocals and things like that at the moment. What's your addition doing to the band vocals?
Yeah, basically, I take on the role of clean vocals, but I also do some uncleans here and there, obviously because I love doing both. But if I had to pick one personally, I'd pick cleans, just because I feel like, not necessarily because it's easier, but I feel like I do better. Like I feel like, I don't know, I've got more range when I like do my cleans and that, but I do like backing vocals for uncleans. I also like have some like unclean bits. Like I think me and Jimmy were talking about like chopping up, well not chopping up, but like how do I put it? Like rearranging some, not rearranging, but like just going through Perceptions lyrics that already exist and being like, right, we'll sort of like spread this across, like, so like you can have this unclean bit and I'll have most of these unclean bits, kind of thing. Like, so Jamie still has, obviously he does the unclean stuff, but I'll be taking some bits because I might help him vocally as well if I'm sort of like taking a bit of the weight off, if that makes sense. I don't think I'm explaining it very well.
No, mate, 100%. I get you.
Yeah.
I think like I mean it's similar to me. I'm not classed as like the vocalist like in Day Shift. That's obviously Nathan, but I do sort of a lot of backing for him, like unclean wise. So it's always just to help them out, because it's a lot of strain being a vocalist in a band, like getting up on stage for like half an hour, 40 minutes and screaming into a microphone. It's going to wear you out a little bit. So especially with some parts in the songs, you have to have that sort of, it helps having that second person who can sort of help you out while you get your breath back.
Like that was my main problem when I was in the Sky Opened Up, because like with bassist Kieran, like he did do backing vocals, but for a lot of it, there wasn't really a lot of delegation with vocals, and that I was doing basically all vocal stuff, and like I was running out of breath so much, and like everyone was always saying, "Oh, you did like a really good job," at that gig. But like for me, I was like, I felt my voice going, like, and that's what happens when you don't allow yourself to take a breather. You know what I mean? So it helps to at least have a good backing vocalist who can take on a fair amount of the load, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I was talking about this with Joe last week, and I mean, Jamie, I think you're probably one of the best unclean vocalists that we've got in the northeast scene at the minute. Your unclean vocals, like the range on it is insane. Is there anything you do in particular to like get yourself like that? Anything that you've done previously that sort of worked for you?
Thanks for the compliment, mate. That's absolutely class for you to say, and I really appreciate it. There is a lot of vocalists out there that I sort of like learn from. Really, like I started off doing deathcore mainly, like with my first band and stuff. So I used to like learn a lot from like the Phil Bozeman tutorials, like the classic YouTube ones and stuff.
Oh, aye.
Yeah, that's literally how I learned myself, really. And from there, it was mainly just sort of mimicking vocalists and then sort of putting my own spin on those vocals, really. So for me at the minute, in terms of where Perceptions are going, I take like my main influence from the likes of like Sam Carter, Architects, and especially sort of like the emotional sections, like the I take a, don't know if you've heard of a band called Casey, but Tom Weaver, their vocalist, is absolutely phenomenal, and he just puts so much passion in his voice, and that's where I sort of learn from. But in terms of like warming up and stuff, it's just hugely important, and having Dan come into the bands made me realise that even more, because Dan sort of keeps me in check, because to be honest, I'm pretty lazy when it comes to warming up. So Dan's just sort of like, I know, Jimmy, have your tea, have some vocal zones, sort yourself out. But no, mate, honestly, like I don't do nothing special at all. I just fucking if the song's angry, I'll put as much anger in it as possible, and I'll put as much passion in as possible. That's all it is, really.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, shout out vocal zones, by the way, because they are literal lifesavers, absolute lifesavers. But yeah, I mean, I get exactly what you mean. I mean, I suppose obviously with the melodic side of it, obviously the emotional side that you have in your songs and things like that, you sort of need that range and that sort of to add in your own style to sort of influence that. You definitely need that, and I think that's something that you do quite well. Something I noticed straight away from when I seen you play at that show we played. I mean, that's been nearly 2 years since that show happened, so I'm really excited to sort of see what you guys release next, and the next time that you see you play shows. Judging on the fact you're going to have six people in the band, I can imagine that the energy on stage is just going to be absolutely crazy.
Oh, it'll be mental, man. Like, it's nice that the way the lineup's gone now, everyone has their say, and it's sort of it's a blend of everything. And musically, the biggest influence in the band for me musically at the minute is Ryan. Like the kid's taught himself guitar from scratch, and he's just worked himself from the ground up with his recording stuff, and he's just constantly.
My guy.
Yeah, it's all I'm thinking.
Literally, like, we've got a new track in the works right now, and Ryan's wrote the entire thing. And it's probably the most excited I've been to work on a track after lockdown.
It's class, that, man. I love how Ryan's just sitting in the background, not saying anything. Like, yeah, I did that.
The G.
You know, I personally find that like it's too hard to take a compliment and things like that. Like, it's like nice to hear, but it's like when someone like says something, it's like processing it. But now, like honestly, since like the past year or something like that, I've literally just been sat writing like ideas left, right, and centre, either for the band, for myself, whatever. And like going back to like Fairweather and that, it was nice to be like, right, I think it was James that wrote the core bit of it, then I developed it, and then we're just seeing like the power of like 6 members that each have a go at it, to be able to like say like I put the lyrics down and to say like Dan and Jamie just like dissecting and putting like the way we're hearing now, telling like James and things that like trying to work with, like the rhythm side of it, and then Seymour having his take, saying like, right, this is what I can hear, and like it just works really well. But at the minute, like I'm really put myself in that like kind of producer role and just started like cracking on my ideas left, right, and centre.
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, on top, obviously, in the same breath of what I was saying before about having the 6 members in the band, how do you think that's gonna? Do you think that makes things easier or harder when it comes to getting your own ideas across and everyone having their own different opinions? Because I know what you were saying before, Jimmy, that everyone's sort of got their own sort of different taste in music. Have you come across anything so far where there's been any sort of, I'm not going to say like disagreements or arguments because they're never that, but like anyone who's had like that different sort of constructive feedback on a certain section of a song with who's all having that different taste in music?
100%. It's happened 100 times over, man. Like, you know, we all differ. We all come up with different ideas, and if we don't like it, we'll voice our opinion. You know what I mean? But the way we work as a band, it's never criticism in a way of offending someone. You know, it's always constructive. It's always like, right, we like this section, we don't like this section, but this is how we think it can improve. You know, we all have our own opinion. Like Fairweather, we went in a practice room for about 2-3 months, man, before we got even close to where we are now, because it was just like, right, I like this section. The week after, we'd be like, nah, actually, let's change it to this. You know, it's just one of those things. But I think in a way it makes it come out so much better because you have 6 different minds going to work, and it comes out in something that's unique. And honestly, like it's gonna be a massive fucking track. Like it sounds huge already, and it hasn't even been mixed and mastered yet. And I haven't finished recording it, which is just mental. But
yeah, no, that's so. You're recording it with George, aren't you? George Collins.
George Collins, mate.
Yeah. So this will be like the first time. It might be the first time. I'm not sure, but first time with Perception, sort of in an actual studio recording a track that way. How is that now differed from recording False Prophets in the sort of in your own home sort of type thing?
It felt really good, man. George is obviously absolutely amazing at what he does. You know, you'll hear it in Ground Culture and stuff. Like he's class.
It's an absolute boss, like.
And he's not scared to say whether something can sound better, you know?
Yeah, like, that's what I like about him. Like, he really does push for it to, like, get everything, like, spot on, like, perfect. And I totally get that because I'm a bit of a perfectionist myself. So, like, yeah, like, and it's because of that, it's made the track, like, sound what it is. Like Jimmy said, it's not even finished yet, but even what is done, like, that's what's helped it sound what it is. And, like, as when it comes to being a producer, he is top notch. I mean, producer, bassist, just everything, he's class.
Yeah, man. Like, I really felt for, like, the likes of Ryan and James when we were recording, because the amount of times Ryan played drums through that song was fucking insane. And he'll tell you that himself, like.
It was nice working with George, like that producer aspect. Anyway, like to bounce off with George is like Jamie that said he literally told you how it was. Right, that was either good, that was bad, that was shit, or something like that. And it's just like like not like obviously I think it was like one of the first times I ever met George as well. And he was just really like down to earth person, like really really nice to talk to. And then very like nice to talk to, like the like nitty gritty things like the actual recording or like any theory. But yeah, the recording drums was a bit of a pain, like.
Yeah. I think that's what they like, especially George, because I mean George, he's a really canny bloke, he really is. And I think like when you have a producer like that who isn't being like critical of it, he knows that you can do better, so you'll push you more, so you can get the best end products. to present to your audience essentially. So yeah, definitely having a producer like that's always going to be beneficial to you guys, definitely. So what's the plan? So obviously we've got Fair Weather, the new track that's going to be sort of available when it's finished and sort of out and things like that. What's the plan from there?
More tunes.
Yeah, literally, like, we've got Joe on my back, like, helping out massively now, and it's really sort of helped us, like, find a path of where we're going in the next year. We had a lot planned for this year, but obviously Corona's absolutely dragged it down the drain,
Yeah.
But luckily, a lot of it's getting rescheduled. Like, we've got Stephen putting on another run up Scotland next year, which is obviously a rescheduled run of this year. We've got the shows with Burdened in October and November, which hopefully they go ahead. But like Dan said and Ryan said, the main thing is going to be getting more tracks out. We're working on a new track, and Fair Weather's going to show sort of the new nitty-gritty, heavy side of Perceptions. But the next track is going to sort of bring back that really big chorus, melodic sort of sound to us. And honestly, mate, it's just a completely different band, and it's going to be class.
Yeah, I was going to ask, so like how this song and the new stuff's going to sort of differ to the False Prophet EP.
It's going to be like a big hybrid, if anything else. And like when I'm like sat writing riffs and putting in like drum bits and stuff like that, like Jimmy can clarify this, and even the rest of the lads, like I'll just it's more out of the blue. I'll just go, right, here's a track, lads, like have a listen and say what you think.
Massively, like Ryan, you're absolutely ridiculous at writing. It's crazy. Like, even since the start of lockdown, man, he's must have sent me about 9-10 tracks. Not all for Perceptions, Ryan's obviously got another band going on the local scene called Regressions. Straight to Glasgow. Absolutely class little band. They've put out 2 demos. Absolutely sick. But on top of that as well, me and Ryan's working on a little side project ourselves at the minute, which is going to be it's something crazy. It's crazy heavy. So
I'm going to say it's naughty. That's all I'm saying. Absolutely naughty.
When we're going to hear from that then?
It's a weird one, man. Like Ryan, it was mainly done for Ryan's uni project, and I was meant to come in and do some vocals on it and stuff, but obviously Corona shut that down as well.
Absolutely crap.
The tracks are ready. The lyrics are almost ready. We're getting melodies down now. Literally the minute Corona's done, I'm around Ryan's house. We're getting those vocals laid out, and we're hoping like September, October time, me and Ryan's going to have a couple of little tracks to release. Like,
I love it when bands do this, like the little side things like that, where they have their normal music, like I say, obviously in this situation, melodic metalcore, and then they have this tiny little side project with a couple of like the members of the band, and they just do like complete random stuff that like you wouldn't normally associate with the actual normal music they're playing already. Like, I love it when bands do that. So yeah, I'm excited to actually find out more about this, to be honest.
Honestly, like,
it's
wait, who's going?
It's really, really different. Like it's something that the local scene's probably not heard before. And
I don't think it's
that kind of gets me and Ryan excited. Like, Ryan, you can talk a little bit more about it because obviously it's your project mainly. I'm just kind of there to do vocals.
It was just kind of like an idea, obviously, for the uni thing, and then I thought, you know what, I can make something of this. I know we should be really talking about Perceptions here, but it was just something where I was like, you know what, I'll just put it out there, and like obviously Jamie's going to be doing the vocals and things like that. And I thought, you know what, let's make it our project. So hopefully in the future, like when we get these like all done, it's just going to get put out there. That's all I'm saying, because I'm just happy to see like it like get work done and things like that. Nice.
Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a case that when bands sort of have that side project and they release stuff like this, it usually goes down quite well. So it'll definitely be interesting to sort of find out how it goes. But yeah, definitely. So I mean, like I say, obviously, False Prophet is it going to be? Obviously, that's the EP that you've released first. The new song Fair Weather, that'll be out soon, I hope, when it's all finished. Is that going to be sort of the start of an EP, start of an album? Like, he's actually got any sort of plan set in stone for that yet?
Not really. We're kind of going to go down the road of releasing a few singles, really.
Cool.
just to kind of get a definitive section to our new sound. We're going to release a few singles, get Dan and Seymour sort of more known in the band, and then maybe later next year we might release a little EP, but it just depends where we go with these next few tracks, really. But it's definitely on the cards, I think.
Oh yeah.
Class, love that. Mentioned Joe before, so obviously Joe, the second episode that I did of this Sit Down and Talk podcast was with Joe, who's sort of currently looking after these lads as their sort of like manager / booking agent in a sense. How's it been working with Joe? Because obviously Joe's been around in the scene now for about, you know, like 8, 9, 10 years now, so he's got a lot of experience under him. How has it been so far working with him?
Absolutely amazing, man.
He's a top lad,
you know,
like.
He's been really good help, like.
Yeah, he's a top lad. He's always been completely honest with me, you know. He said at the EP release show, and it was the first time he probably came down and seen me, you know. And he said he was like, I see something in you that it's unique and it's different, and it's not something that like is crazy popular at the minute, but it's something that he's bringing back. And obviously at the minute, you know, the heavier scene in Newcastle's a lot bigger, but we want to push a more melodic sound. And Joe's just the person to sort of tell her where to go on the right path, tell her if we're doing something stupid, and he's always honest with when he always looks out for me, man. It's like having a big brother. It's great, you know.
It's gonna be proper tour, Dad, when we start going out on shows, man.
100%.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I say, Joe's class, and he knows his business side of things with music, which is massively going to help you. So it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to it, and it'll be interesting to see sort of which, like, you know, the direction he's end up going down with him. So it'll be good to see that. But yeah, I mean, you were talking about sort of like the more. I mean, I love my heavy music, like my ridiculously heavy music, and we do have a lot of it in Newcastle. But I wouldn't say there's that many sort of melodic-y sort of metal type of bands in Newcastle anymore compared to what it used to be like. It's not a bad thing, I suppose. Obviously everyone has their own different taste in music and stuff, but I just miss it when the scene had a lot of sort of melodic-y metal type bands rather than it just being like the beat down side of things, if you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, I completely get you. You know, like we've got the likes of obviously us, we've got you guys, you've got Ground Culture obviously bringing back a sort of melodic sound, and it's really nice. And Starved as well, their new song, you know, it's nice to see them bringing some cleans in and stuff, and it sounds amazing, you know. I think every band's sort of maturing as they go, man, and we're literally just starting out in terms of maturity and in terms of where we want to go. But there is becoming a more melodic scene in Newcastle now, and I think it's going to be bigger in the next year or so. I think we're going to see a lot more of it coming out. You know, you've got bands like Loathe going down a much more melodic route, and it sounds huge. You know, in terms of the melodic side of things and my inspiration, this year Loathe's probably released one of the best albums I've heard.
Without a doubt, hands down.
Oh yeah,
like that album is ridiculous. Like, I mean, I know a lot of people usually when they like describe an album as absolutely ridiculous, it's because it's literally heavy as sin and has all these gutturals in. But it's musically and instrumentally, it is ridiculous how good that album is.
Like Two-Way Mirror is my favorite song on that album, and it's so well written. It's ridiculous, man. Like, and his vocals as well, man. Like. They just show it off so much, and it's class to hear.
That's actually literally the song that popped into my head as soon as you mentioned the new album.
Yeah, man. Like, and you've got the likes of like Liam from Ronin Clan. He's just released this new little side project, and that is like hearing Liam sing like that, man. It's absolutely unreal.
I did not know he had them pipes on him. I'll be completely honest. I did not know that.
No, I mean, to be honest, you know, it was lovely to hear, man. And it's nice to see them. Like, obviously, the lads in Ronin Clan, they constantly have new stuff coming. And it's nice to see them all sort of spanning off doing their own projects as well as still keeping the Ronin Clan sound. But to hear Liam pull off vocals like that, I wasn't expecting it whatsoever.
No, and again, like I say, it was what I was saying before. Everyone, like, I love it when people go off and do their own little thing that's different to what their main thing is. So obviously the main thing with Ronin Clan, but then for him to go off and do this sort of sides, I don't even, to be honest, I couldn't even tell you what the genre is.
I guess it's like, I don't know, see, this is weird, right? Because it's like a lot of people would call it quote unquote emo. I guess there's a whole other conversation about like what emo really is and all that, but like it's what is considered sort of like it's got like a chill vibe to it, and it has like emo roots, but it's sort of like yeah,
Yeah, it's still keeps that like happy rhythm in it as well. It's nice.
Definitely. I mean, what like I mean, we've already started on actually talking about sort of other bands and from the UK with Loathe. What bands are you actually like digging at the moment? Like any new releases that you're looking forward to coming out? Anything that you're actually listening to right now?
Who wants to go first?
Well, this is kind of a joint one for me and Jamie, and it's not a UK band, but I got Jamie Hooker and Incendiary in I fucking love that band.
Yeah, man. At the minute, I'm just probably getting back into like old school hardcore, man. Incendiary, Backtrack, like loads of old school bands like that. But
hardcore.
In terms of bands that I'm really jamming at the minute, like Ground Culture's new album is fucking spectacular.
Yeah, 100%.
So good. I'm still jamming like the likes of Nothing Left to Love by Counterparts, things like that, and I'm jamming loads of new Acacia Strain. Their new album's absolutely class so far.
I've not listened to that yet. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like every song's sort of different. So the album's called Decay, but they're releasing sort of 2 tracks and then releasing it per letter as it goes through. And like the songs, some of them are stupidly heavy, but some of them are really melodic and like atmospheric. And it almost sounds like a game, like sort of soundtrack. It's class.
Oh, I love that. I've been non-stop jamming Polaris' new album, The Death of Me. Like literally since it came out, it is literally not like I've been telling life it's not been off repeat, but I've listened to it at least once a day since it came out. And I was meant to go to see them in Glasgow like 3 weeks ago. Obviously with everything that happened, it got cancelled.
Yeah, me and Ryan were meant to go to that because me and Ryan, like, we jam Alpha Wolf a hell of a lot because, mate, it's just a thing, like, Australia just breeds some of the best bands. Like, they always have and they always will.
Yeah, I generally don't get it. I don't know what's in the water over there, but we need some of that. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous.
But me and Ryan were meant to be at that show because we're going to go see Varials, Alpha Wolf, Polaris. It was a ridiculous lineup.
Mm-hmm. Ridiculous. I mean, I just hope it's rescheduled because, like since they released the Mortal Coil, like they have been literally a band on like they've always made it in any playlist I've ever made just because just for the simple fact that they are absolutely ridiculous.
I never get sick of Lucid, to be fair, like never.
Their last album as well, absolutely class. I still jam Lucid all the time. Like that chorus is unbelievable.
That chorus, and I generally don't try and find me a better riff than that riff that they have in that song.
Oh man!
Like it is stupid, absolutely stupid, man.
I love the chorus, mate, and like the way that the final chorus has like a bit of a sort of different like pace to the original one. It's just like it's got like a big sort of, I guess you could almost say like theatrical feel to it. The way that it closes out with the chorus, like it just feels like a soundtrack of something big. I don't know, but like it just gives that kind of vibe. It's
even lyrically, they're one of the best bands in my opinion. Just there's something about the way they write lyrics. Like every song's just perfect.
Yeah, like what song is it that I'm trying to think of? Yeah, have you seen the lyrics for Masochist from the new album?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That like lyrically, I was like, I remember like hearing the song for the first time, and I was like, God, it's an absolute banger. But then I think it took us a few more listens to really get the lyrics. But then I actually looked at what the lyrics were on Google as well, and I was like, fuck me, these are some deep lyrics. These but they were sick.
Yeah, man.
I'll tell you what, like who I'm jamming really digging at the moment, or should I say getting back into, is the Ghost Inside with their new stuff.
Oh,
I am so excited for that album, honestly, like.
It is ridiculous. I remember that when they released Aftermath, and they released it within like 10 minutes of that video going live. I think about 50 people on my Facebook shared it. I was like, my God, what a comeback that is, man.
I mean, this is the thing. Like the song's really good, but the video just hits us in the feels as well. Like it's probably like one of the strongest comebacks I've seen, if not the strongest. Like just triumphant as hell. And then the new song they just put out, like I was not expecting. Like from the Ghost Inside have the heavy songs, but I wasn't expecting that beat down at the end. Like I had to like pinch myself. Like it was mad.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like the Ghost, like that song. What's it called?
Pressure Point.
Pressure Point. That's it. Do you not think it has like like the Returners sort of vibe to it?
Yeah, like it does sound like the older stuff. Like, and it's just. I remember hearing the teaser for it, and I was like, no, I'm not ready for this. I'm like, and I remember listening to it, and you know that face that you pull when something is silly. Like, I think my face turned into a lemon.
I was going to say your face like scrunches inside of itself, doesn't it?
It actually did. Oh, mate. I'm just proper excited. And Fit for a King as well. Like, they released, I don't know if they're doing an album, but they released a new tune earlier this year. And, like, I don't know if you are a fan of them, but they're just so good.
Mate, one of my favourite bands.
They've actually recently just put something out. It's not like a split, but they've done like a little collaboration with We Came as Romans, where they've got like a redone version of one of their songs with Dave from We Came as Romans on it, and We Came as Romans have like a version of one of their songs with Ryan on it from Fit for a King. So like that was pretty cool. I only just noticed that the other day.
You don't really see many bands doing stuff like that anymore.
Yeah.
I know, like back in like 2010, like sort of like that era when like metalcore was proper like the one to go to. There was a lot of sort of collabs and stuff like that being done, but you don't really see much like that these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like in the terms of features and that, I think I've seen that quite a bit at the minute. But like splits and things like that, like I know I've gone off on a bit of a tangent, but I know there's like I think the last split that really comes to mind that I go back to is like Knocked Loose's split with oh Christ, what's it? I'm trying to think.
Holding Absence. What's Holding Absence won it? Because I'm not Holding Absence. Oh no, Holding Absence did a split with Oath.
Yeah, I lie. I think it's two all the time, but at the minute, like there's not really like any bands doing splits where it's like, oh yeah, we'll release a single and we'll get like another band to just like kind of be like, do you want to share it? Like give them the reason of a split, but there's a lot of features though. Like I keep saying, like Casey Strain, they've got a feature on like their first two single releases or something. It's like Aaron Heard from Jesus Piece is on like the first of Casey Strain, like for D, and then E is it's not. I think it's a female vocalist. Trying to think like I think that Dying Wish comes to mind, but I don't think it's them. I don't know. Yeah, there's loads of strong features I've seen recently compared to this.
Yeah, definitely. Have you seen the is it the In Heart's Wake new song with the Polaris vocalist? Is it?
I heard that. Like, it was pretty good.
I don't know if it just came out yesterday or it's been out for a while, but that song's sick. Never really been a massive In Heart's Wake fan, but as soon as Jamie from Polaris comes in, like it just changes the song completely for me straight away. Just his vocals in general.
Such a powerful vocalist, man. Just huge sounding.
I need to link this to this live set that I came across on YouTube, where it's like literally a full live set. Like the quality is unbelievable on the audio. I'll link it to you. It's like you'll watch that and you'll have a complete different opinion on them. Like it is like mental.
Also, what me and Jim always in the rain or something like that. They're playing like an outdoor festival in like pissing down.
It's the live video of Lucid from Unify a couple of years ago, and that is just ridiculous. Like, the energy that dude has live is just nuts.
You know what it is, right? This might sound counterintuitive, but Lucid actually used to be my alarm to get up in the morning, because you know how it like starts off with just the drums and then it like takes a little while before it kicks in. Because I used to really try to motivate myself to get up, so I'm like, right, as soon as that alarm goes off, I've got to get up before his vocals kick in, because his vocals are loud as fuck. And I don't want that kind of, when my mom can hear it from the other room, like it'll fucking scare her shitless.
That's a class thing. That like, I mean, what would you set as your alarm tones if you already haven't got one? Like, what song would you set as your alarm tones? Put you on the spot.
Mine used to be Second Sucks, but I didn't remember.
Class. I love that.
Mine used to be Lion Hop by Barry Tomorrow, actually.
Lion Hop by Barry Tomorrow. That's a good shout. That. I think for me at the minute, there's a band called Justice for the Damned.
I listen to them.
I caught them live with Knocked Loose last year. And they released a track called "The House You Built Is Burning," and it's fucking terrifying, mate. If anything's gonna wake you up, those vocals will wake you up. Like,
he's
a monster.
I kind of have something that just kicks in straight away, because I don't like proper just jumping when I wake up, and I need something that builds up. Otherwise, I'll just be miserable every time the alarm goes off.
I need a shock to wake up. Otherwise, I just fall back asleep.
Yeah, 100%. I think mine would definitely be Slaughter Prevail's new song, Demolisher. That would get me straight out of bed in the morning. That like.
Just the last
Oh.
last breakdown is just something ridiculous. The live video as well, man. No mic or nothing.
When he
That guy's
shouts,
projection.
like,
That guy's projection is ridiculous.
Oh, his pipe's human.
I generally don't think they are, you know. Like,
he's Russian. Like,
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's the explanation. Like,
how he's Russian. That's it.
slabs are just hot as fuck, mate. Like that, there's no question to
I
it.
guarantee he fights a bear for playtime.
Without a doubt, man. Like, you would not. If you seen him, you would literally cross over the road. I mean, we probably wouldn't because it would be him. But like, as a normal person walking down the road seeing him,
You know
you would
what,
literally you'd cross that path so quick.
You know, it's actually quite scary, right? Like a few years ago when Slaughter Prevail first became a thing, I seen them live at Ghostfest, when Ghostfest was a thing. And Alex Terrible's actually kind of short, you know. He's not that tall.
Yeah, I've seen he's
Is
small.
he?
He's really short, man. Like me and my last walked past him at Ghostfest, and like Emma was just like, "Oh, is that Alex Terrible?" And I turned, and I was like, "No." And he turned around and it was, and I swear to God, maybe he's about the same height as me. Maybe he's a tiny bit taller. I was expecting to be this like huge giant of a man. Don't get us wrong. In terms of like muscle, the guy's huge, but like height wise, he's not that big. And I was really shocked.
What? I mean, he's proper ripped, like. But he gives like I don't know why, but he gives off that like sort of perception that he's like. You see what I did there? Perception. He gives off that perception that he's like quite tall. Like I don't know
Yeah.
why, but like yeah, that's a shock. That.
It really shocked me. Like,
I was watching this video. He was reacting to people's YouTube comments to Demolisher, the new song. And to be fair, right, despite how scary he comes off, he's actually really like just chill and down to earth. Like he's a proper cool bro. And really humble as well. Like he's obviously like one of the top rated vocalists out there at the moment, especially when it comes to like deathcore. And he doesn't let it get to his head at all. He's just really just humble about it. And like,
when a Ghostfest, like terrified the shit out of me, man. Like live, he was ridiculous. And just the pits, man. Like the amount of bands that were there just to see them, because obviously it was the first time they played live. Like I was on the edge of a pit, and Alex Tyne, from Black Tongue, the drummer of Black Tongue, obviously Infant Annihilator as drummer as well, Aaron Kitcher, and Luke Griffin from Ukraine were all in the pit going absolutely mental. And obviously Alex Tyne, the size of him, he's from like I've never ran so fast in my life to the bar.
Doesn't surprise us, mate. He's another vocalist that is ridiculous as well. I mean, I remember seeing Black Tongue live at Think Tank, and my God, like he has got some like vocal chords on him.
I think I know which gig you're on about. Was that the one where Life We Live and Orient played it and all?
The Martyr Defiled.
Yes,
I wanna-
Aye.
yes,
Oh
but
my
I think they supported locally as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. That was ridiculous, that gig.
I just remember them finishing their set and then like just Epic Sax guy starts playing in the background and Alex just starts dancing. Like I don't know if you remember that bit specifically, but that got me. But I mean, obviously that set was ridiculous and all. But
Yeah.
Absolutely class. Well, boys, yeah, I mean, obviously I appreciate massively the fact that you've spent your Wednesday evening with us and sort of spared the time to come and talk some shite on the podcast.
it's been fun.
Nice catch up, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely all need to go out for a night out as soon as this is all over, man.
100%, man. Local band hangout.
Definitely. So yeah, Perceptions, they got the 6-track EP False Prophet on all major streaming platforms. We'll have new music coming very soon. I'll leave all their links to their socials and their Spotify in the description. But for now, that's cool. See you all later.
See you later.
We're about to live forever.